I'm Jacy from Craft Life, and I'm here today to teach you how to knit a wreath on your rainbow loom, and you can also use a knitting loom for this. And you can make your wreath whatever size you want it to be, but today I'm going to show you how to make it this size. And the supplies you'll need to make this are yarn, of course. And for the green yarn that you want to use, you can use this one to make it look like this. I use the same yarn here. And this is 6 super bulky. It's a pretty green. But the one I'm showing you how to make today is going to be in this darker green, and it is also super bulky 6. You will also need red yarn for the bow. And I'm going to be making red berries on mine, but you can do all different colors to make light bulbs or decorations. You will also need a rainbow loom or a knitting loom, and I'm going to show you how to do it on your rainbow loom today, but if you have a knitting loom, you can follow the same exact steps, but just do it on your knitting loom instead. You will also need a rainbow loom hook or a crochet hook, or even a knitting hook. You will need scissors, a pencil, a ruler, and last but not least, you'll need something to stuff your wreath with. I'm going to be using polyfill today, but you can use whatever you have or want to use. So please get your supplies and we'll begin. We are going to begin by setting up our loom. So we're going to start by taking out this middle row here. Then we're going to take this row and we're going to turn it around so that all of its arrows face towards the left. And I'm going to push it down on this side. Then I'm going to take my big blue base piece out, and I'm also going to move this piece down all the way to the end and then push it down. So now this is how you want to leave your loom. This is how it's going to be set up, and we're going to begin by making a slip knot. So I'm just going to pinch it here at about 6 inches. Then I'm going to wrap it around my finger once. Then I'm going to pinch it. So I create a loop, and I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to pull it through the loop like this and pull that tight into a slip knot. I'm going to put it on my first peg here, not this one but this one, and then you can pull it tight. Now once you have finished doing that, you want to unravel some yarn from your ball of yarn. And your yarn is not going to be cut off your ball of yarn until we're ready to finish it. And so we're going to be using these 8 pegs, and we're going to just do an E-wrap stitch where you just wrap it around the peg from behind and then go back around it. And you want to do this not too loose or not too tight, just do it gently. And go all the way around your 8 pegs doing this. Now, once you have gone around your 8 pegs, we have our bottom row, and now we need to E-wrap another row so we can create a top row. So we're going to start on this peg, and then we're going to end on this peg. So start E-wrapping and go around. Now I'm just going to hold it on my last peg, and I'm going to bring my bottom row over the top, or my bottom loop, on all of my pegs. Now I have my slip knot strand out on this side, and I want to pull it in so that it's in the inside. So I'm just going to use my fingers to do this. If you want to use your hook, you can stick your hook and pull it back through, but I'm just going to use my fingers and then pull it and push it all down. Now we have our first row finished, and we're going to begin making this and keep going around. Now we're going to end on our stop peg, and you're going to hold it. Then you're going to bring your bottom loops over the top on all of your pegs. Now you're going to push this down, and we've just finished our second row. Now we're going to move on, and we're going to start on our start peg, go around and end on our stop peg. So go around. Now, once you've finished at your stop peg, you're going to bring your bottom loops over the top on all of your pegs. And finally, push it down. We just did 3 rows together, and you want to have 35 rows in total. So please do what we've been doing. You're going to start on your start peg, go around, and then end on your stop peg. And when you are doing your E-wrapping, make sure you're not doing it too tight. Then you're going to bring your bottom loops over the top on all of your pegs and push it down and continue this process. So please do this for 32 more rows so that you have 35 rows in total, and I'll be right back. I just finished my 32 more rows, and now I have 35 rows in total. And if you want to make yours just like mine that I've made here, you will need to do 35 rows. And you can make yours larger or smaller than the one I'm showing you how to make. Now we can start to take this off our loom, but before we do that, we need to cut our yarn. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go around your loom and wrap your yarn around once and then 1.5 times. So I went around once and I went around half. So now I have 1.5 times around my loom, and I'm just going to cut it. And now this is the yarn I'm going to use to sew up my wreath. Now I'm going to use the yarn that I've just cut, and I'm going to take my hook, and on this first peg here, I'm just going to stick my hook through the loop, and then I'm just going to pull the strand up. Now you can just pop this off your loom. And now I'm going to move on for the rest of these. And now what you want to do is stick your hook up and pull your strand down. Now you can pop this one off your loom and continue this. Now you can take this off your loom. Once you have it off your loom, we want to leave this top part here where our strand is loose. So I'm going to just leave mine nice and loose, and I'm going to find the loop that is right in front of my strand, which is this one for me. Then I'm going to grab my strand of yarn, pull it through but not all the way, so that you create a loop here. And I'm just going to take my yarn and place it inside of my loop. And I'm going to be careful when I pull this tight because I don't want it to pull the top part too tight. I want to leave it loose. And once you've created your knot, we are ready to stuff our wreath. Now we are ready to stuff our wreath. And so to do this, we are going to want to use small pieces of polyfill at a time. And you can stick it in one side or the other. You're going to need to stick polyfill in from both sides. And you can use your finger and a pencil to push it in. And don't overfill one side more than the other. So you can take your pencil and push it in. And you're just going to continue to stuff this. I have just finished stuffing my wreath, and now if you turn it into a circle like this, you want to make sure that you have a row already planned out for where you want to place your berries or decorations. And if you don't want to place any of these, you can just skip this and don't even add them, and you don't have to worry about choosing a row. But the row I'm going to use is in between these two rows here. So I'm just going to place them in the front. And now I'm going to start sewing up where I want my wreath to be held together, which is right here. And since my yarn is on this side, I'm going to stick my hook through the first loop on this side. Then I'm going to pull my yarn through. all the way through. And this is going to be back and forth. So since I just went on this side, I'm going to turn it, find the next loop on this side, which is this one, and then I'm going to pull the strand of yarn through. So I'm going back and forth between each side. Since I ended on this one, I'm going to have to find a loop on this side, which is this one. I'm going to pull it through. And when you start to pull it tight, you can see that they are being stitched together. So since I ended on this side, I'm going to find a loop on this side. So right here, and pull it through. So just continue stitching back and forth between your sides, and you're just going to do this. And I just wanted to make sure that you know you are going to be using the bottom loops, the very first ones, on the ends. So for this one, I'm going to use this one here, and I'm going to pull it through. And then I'm going to do the same for the other side and continue all the way around. I'm starting to get towards the inside and I can't do it anymore. So I'm just going to roll my wreath inside out like this so I can begin sewing up again. Now, once you have finished doing that, I'm going to find an open loop. I see this one here. And I'm just going to make a simple knot, so I'm going to pull my yarn through, but not all the way. I'm going to hold some. And now I have a loop here, and I'm just going to pull all my yarn back through the loop to create a knot. And now I'm just going to cut this strand short, and I'm going to tuck it into my wreath. So I'm just going to start from back here, move all the way up to where this strand is, and I'm going to pull it inside of my wreath and tuck it in. And I'm going to do the same thing for this strand over here. And so I'm just going to cut it and tuck it. Now we are finished making our wreath, and I'm going to roll it back to where I had it. So right here. And now we're ready to add on our bow and our decorations or berries. Now I'm going to show you how to make the bow, and for this you will need red yarn and a ruler. And so when you are making this, you want to begin by making a slip knot. So I'm going to use 6 inches of yarn. I'm going to wrap it around my finger, pinch it so that I create a loop, and then I'm just going to take my yarn and I'm going to pull it from inside of my loop and pull that tight to create a slip knot. Now some people do it this way, where they place it on their finger and then they take their yarn, wrap it over their finger, and take this loop over the loop that we just laid, and then all they do is pull it tight. But the way I do it is I take my loop and I pull the yarn from inside it to create another loop, and I just continue doing it like this. And sometimes I need to pull this tight to make a smaller loop, and all you have to do is continue this until this strand of yarn that we are making is 21 inches long. So you're just going to continue what we've been doing. So either use this technique where you pull it through the loop, or you place it on your finger, take your yarn, wrap it over your finger, and bring your loop over the loop you just laid. And you want to continue to make your loops the same size, so when I pull it tight, I'm not going to pull it too tight. And just continue this until you have 21 inches in total. I just finished my 21 inches of my strand of yarn, and now to finish this off, I'm just going to cut some yarn. It doesn't have to be long, so just cut it off. And then I'm just going to pull the strand through my loop and pull that tight, and that will create a knot. And now we can begin making the bow. Before we actually make our bow, I just want to show you how to get rid of these long strands of yarn. And so to do this, I'm just going to take my hook, place it through all the way through this part here at the top, and I'm just going to pull this strand of yarn through it. Now that it's in the back, I'm just going to stick my hook through the front on my next loop, pull that through, and then I'm just going to pull it back toward the back again. And now it's time to cut it, but first I'm just going to take my hook, place it through this loop here. I have plenty of these all down it. And I'm just going to pull this through. And now I can cut my yarn. And now it is gone. And for this one, I'm going to do the same thing. So stick my hook all the way through at the top. Pull this back through it. Then I'm going to do the same thing, except stick it through the front, pull it through the back. Now I'm just going to stick it from the back and pull it from the front. Now that it's in the back, I'm going to do what I did before and pull it through one of these loops here. And I'm just going to pull this through. And now I can cut it. Now that I have those strands of yarn gone, I can finally make my bow. Now to actually make the bow, all you have to do is fold it in half. And I'm going to pinch mine at the 1 inch mark, so right here. And then I'm going to use the smaller strand to make my first loop. So I'm just going to make that loop. And remember, you can always make yours larger. And now I'm going to wrap it around the other one. And I'm going to pull it through and make my bow. And now I'm just going to pull this tight, so I'm going to use this strand here because it's not connected to this. And I'm going to use this one here because it's not connected to this. And I'm just going to pull it tight. And now you can fix it up however you want it to be. And I think I like mine like this. And now to attach it to your wreath, you're going to need to take a piece of yarn and you're going to need to cut it about 12 inches long. And now I'm going to find the back of my bow, which is going to be this side here. And I'm just going to stick my hook through this loop here. And I'm going to pull my strand through it. And pull one side all the way through. Now it is connected on my yarn like this, and I'm ready to attach it to my wreath. So when you're doing it, you're going to take your hook and you're going to start from the inside, stick it through the row that you want it in, and then go 2 rows up. So right about here. And I'm going to take my first strand on this side and I'm going to pull it through. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to do it in the same row and go 2 up. And then pull my other strand through. So now I just pulled both of these strands through my wreath, and now it's connected, but I need to tie a knot first. But before you do anything, you want to make sure that you like how your bow is on your wreath. And I think mine looks fine, so I'm going to tie a knot between the 2 strands. So just tie them into a knot and make this knot very tight. Now once you're finished with that, I'm going to pull both of these strands all the way through the back. So I'm going to take my hook, stick it through the back, all the way up until I find where they are. So they're right about here. And I'm going to pull both of them through. And pull that very tight. And I'm just going to tuck them into this side. So I'm just going to take my hook, stick it through the exact spot where they are. Do not stick it into a row next to them, or else you will see red in the back. And I'm just going to pull them through and then cut them. And tuck them in. So now again you can fix up your bow in the front. And now we're ready to add our decorations to our wreath. For the decorations on my wreath, I started by cutting 5 8-inch pieces of yarn, and I'm going to be using one at a time. So this is the part that we are going to be making, and if you want to leave your wreath plain, then you can do so and skip this part, and you would be finished if you're not going to be adding any decorations. But I'm going to be adding 5 to mine, but you can use as many decorations as you want on your wreath. And you can also use different colors and make it look like light bulbs on your wreath. So now from your bow, you want to count up 5 rows. So each V that you see, you're going to count. So I'm going to start on this row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So right here, I'm just going to take my hook and place 1 loop from this row on it and 1 loop from the other row. And if you don't want to do that, you can just place them wherever you want, but I want one specifically at the top. So I'm just going to take my first strand, pull it through, so that only a little bit remains on the other side. And now I'm going to place it over it again, take my hook, place it through those same 2 loops, pull my yarn back again, and don't pull it too tight, leave it loose, and then do it one more time. Same 2 loops, and then pull your yarn through. Just like that. And now what you want to do is from the back, I'm just going to stick my hook through this side first, and I'm going to lead it all the way up next to it, right in the same row, so that when I pull it down, you're not going to see any of this red yarn here. And I'm just going to pull this down like that, and then I'm going to do the same thing for that one. So stick it up to the same row as this strand here and pull the strand down. So now all you see in the front is this little decoration or berry. And now from the back, I'm just going to cut each strand. And then tuck them in so that you don't see them from the back anymore. And now we just finished making our first one, and now we're going to do our second one, and that one is going to be again 5 rows up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm just going to take my hook, grab one loop from this row and one from the other. Then take my next strand, pull it through, and we're going to do the same thing that we have been doing. So I'm going to place it over, stick my hook back through those same 2 loops, pull my strand back through, and leave it loose. Do not make it too tight. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Pull it through. And now I'm going to tuck them in from the back. So from the back, I'm going to take my hook, place it up to the same exact row as this one, and pull the strand down, and pull it down again for this one. Same exact row, and then pull the strand down. So now I'm going to cut these strands in the back here so that I can tuck them in. And just tuck them in so you don't see them anymore. I want my next one to be straight at the top, so I'm just going to figure out where my center is. So it's right here. And I'm going to take one loop from this row and the other loop from that row. And I'm going to place it right at the top. You can do it however you want to do it. But now I'm going to do what I've been doing and just continue this. Now I'm just going to even this out, and I'm just going to go straight across and use my eye, and here it looks like my next one is going to be here. So I'm going to take one row from this side and one from the other, so it looks like that, and continue what we've been doing. Now for the last one, I'm also going to use my eye, and I'm just going to go straight across. So I think right about here. And I'm just going to continue what I've been doing. Now you can fix up your bow once again. And this is just how I make my wreaths. And you can make yours however you want. They're your wreaths to make. But other than that, you are finished. This is what they look like when they're done, and I'm going to probably be using mine as room decorations. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you make some, I'd love to see them. My Instagram is CraftLifeUSA, so please tag me in a photo. And don't forget to like us on Facebook, pin it on Pinterest, and subscribe right here on YouTube. I hope you live in a craft life just like me. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!